Alright, a quick recap. My buddy and I are currently developing a cursed chess-like called Joss. Last time, we finalized the first iteration of the board, game pieces, and rough design of the campaign. Let's not waste any more time. Back into it. I want you to have a character, one that's also visible to your opponent in multiplayer. This both serves the purpose of grounding the player in the world of Joss and communication. I don't want an actual person for two reasons. One, it's boring. Two, dealing with a humanoid rig and facial expressions ages me 10 years by the minute. All I really need is something to interact with the game pieces. It needs to be neutral so it can be used by anyone, and you need to be able to tell your opponent to fuck off. While searching for inspiration, I fell into a bit of a rabbit hole of Victorian prosthetic limbs, the handmade elegant designs, raw exposed wood and mechanical pieces. So I designed this severed mechanical doll hand wound up by a heavy golden key. I start with importing a hand that I've already modeled earlier to use as a base, and then the chessboard for size reference. Then we'll roughly split up the hand into separate wooden shells. We want the segments to cover most of the internal mechanism while still remaining quite flexible for a more organic feel for animation later on. So that we'll leave some nice and sizable gaps in between. The mock-up is ready, so let's test it right away before spending any more time on refinement. Quickly tossing the hand into Substance Painter for a sloppy paint job. I'd say even now it looks pretty cool. We'll run with it and finalize the fucker. Back into Maya, it's time to slowly and methodically build up a lattice of refined and functional geometry. Proper edge flow and soothing UV islands should please our cruel mistress. But our efforts are not yet sufficient, and by crashing the entire application, she gently reminds us that good boys should remember to save. Not having learned my lesson, we'll continue by creating the internal mechanism. Small gears, pistons, a couple of hinges, and a sprinkle of miscellaneous spring-loaded jank should do the trick. And voila, bonnet the we've filled it to the brim with a solar density measure of mechanical bullshit that totally works if you tilt your head 26 degrees to the left and squint until legally blind.
Having separated the hand into somewhat sensible segments, we will be yeeting this beautiful lad right back into substance for a fresh and final coat of paint. I enjoy how the metal sheen adds a nice muted yet warm contrast to the bleak and old wooden pieces. A welcoming glow from within.
Returning to Maya, I'll quickly create the most convoluted bone setup known to man and pair it with an equally over-engineered control rig to satisfy the dark voices keeping me awake at night. All of course, so we can make it do this. Great. We'll wrap this up in Unreal. Everything is modeled, textured, rigged, and animated. The gears are turning, and the damned soul within is twitching with delight. I'll leave it squirming with a simple looping idle animation. Time to move on, but before we do, I implore you to check these out that I picked up the other day. Two very different vibes, yet both absolutely worth your time. Now, back to Joss for a quick pit stop, as I was experimenting with a variety of small rituals that would be performed by the players before a match to determine who would start. For now, I've landed on a mutated version of the classic stone cardboard knife system. I think the archaic flavor of dice fits nicely into our world. I gave them funny names and wrote a Python script to simulate hundreds of thousands of throws, guaranteeing some level of fairness just before the visions of swirls returned.
Swirls, you say? Spirals, wood grain, cellular structures, cosmic waves, echoes of the void. Whatever they are, I like to make them. It's a lovely example of a purely algorithmic creative process where the result cannot be determined, only indirectly influenced. The rule set is simple. Create a seed, then let it grow by never lifting your pencil and always keeping to the outermost line. Small bumps from a muscle twitch, momentum causing me to slightly overshoot. While subtle at first, the imperfections quickly grows, and what was but a small pebble is now a landscape of oscillating hills and mountains. Organically woven, they remind me of soft fabric, pushing and pulling, reacting to the external pressure of neighboring fields, like a map of ever-expanding gravitational clusters occupying time and space, while relaxing to make, allowing a busy mind to wander a bit. It's time to choss on. Before chossing the campaign and environment together, we need to do a bit of house cleaning. Michael and I have built a small arsenal of editor tools to make the level design process more enjoyable, but they are missing something crucial. Icons will make sure that our tools are not only functional, but also pleasing to use by visually communicating not only where they are, but also what they do. Time spent making the hands-on development experience smoother is time well invested. For consistency, I am mimicking the style of Unreal's native editor icons. Now let's find an excuse to use Ditherboy by Studio AAA and quickly throw together some temporary grungy UI pieces for the menus. Enough chossing around, let's choss up the campaign. I've blocked out a few levels designed to teach the player the unique moves of each piece. A hands-on learning experience with a bit of flavor rather than shoving a video tutorial in your face. For this first iteration, I am aiming at a 15 to 30 minute experience. Enough time to evaluate if this type of gameplay is even fun before wasting yours or my own time further. I want the board to have a life of its own, a mechanical artifact where you never quite know what it might do next. So, playing with this idea, I've quickly animated the tiles, and like one of those pop-up books, the whole board swaps to something completely new, without ever changing level or breaking the immersion. While Michael is working hard on AI systems and match managers, I've started experimenting on the look and feel of the campaign. Inspired by how Warcraft 3 made me feel, I want every level to be its own little diorama with nice and lush looking foliage and secrets to find. We will need some shorter grass with a border for the royal gardens, so I've made a system to easily and dynamically add borders around any set of tiles. Let's make a few variations of cobblestone. Could have created a procedural system to do this for me? Sure, and why not use a texture? It's all valid points, but I honestly quite enjoy placing them by hand. It gives the perfect amount of visual jank. Plus, we're not here to refine just yet, but to make progress. Anything we love can be optimized later. Now, let's write up a quick dynamic animation system so that foliage and other set dressing will spawn in a satisfying way. Some bursting leaf particles, a shader to handle dot rays, a bit of piano and bird ambience, and there we go, baby. I don't know about you, but to me, this is nothing short of satisfying. The way the whole board changes into something completely new. Fantastical, sure, yet still grounded in reality, as you can almost feel the tiles, hear the clickety-clack and turning gears. Very nice. That's it for this time around. If you're interested in this project and or game development in general, make sure to subscribe for part 3. Now, be a good lad and go hydrate and take a nap. You deserve it.